Hey, my name's Matt and welcome to the Open Mic Room. Each episode I'll be speaking with a different guest to share some stories and discuss their music. Today I'm joined by Peter Tate. Peter, how are you doing today?
I'm absolutely fine.
So where are you joining me from?
I'm Bolton, up near Manchester.
Oh, lovely, yes. I've got some family around there. And my best friend actually lives in
Have you?
Manchester.
All right. I don't know whether that's good or bad.
So there's a slight structure to the podcast. I like to run it a bit like a 3-song open mic. So to kick things off, what would be the song that you played first to get people in the room listening and interested? What is sort of your favourite song to play? I know you're part of a rock band called The Abandoners. And what is your go-to song as a band?
Certainly are. That's a difficult one because I change it quite often. It depends on the venue and, the crowd we're going to. Quite often I'll check the bands that have been there before or look at the background of them, and then I make it fit from our set list. If it's one of our own, we'll probably open with, what would it be? Maybe one, The Sun, potentially. That's one of our own. It's quite a heavy riff song and in the vein of Queens of the Stone Age. But we do cover other bands. We cover The Cult and Gary Newman, that type of thing as well. So more of the unusual stuff from the 80s we try and hit on, if we're doing any covers at all. So, we cover Killing Jokers and quite a few different bands. Okay. So what was the name of that original song that you would open with? Sun.
Sun.
It opens with a very heavy riff. Like I said, it's probably more a line. I don't know whether you know any Queens of the Stone Age material, but there's a song that's called Mexico, which is quite heavy. It's a similar kind of structure, similar kind of feel.
So there's quite a lot to talk about with you. If we start with your band, then when did you all get together, and how did that all come about?
We got together. It's a. I'd been gigging in a band years ago called Mississippi Relic, which was a blues rock band. And we covered Hendrix style material. And our drummer, unfortunately, came into rehearsals one day and told us he's dying of terminal cancer. A few weeks later, he passed away, and I was there an hour before he died, talking him through the pain.
Oh wow.
After that, I kind of settled back away from it for a while. And then when COVID came along, my son was already in a band. He'd been gigging since really the age of 9. I mean, he started learning drums when he was 3. He got grade 8 at 9, grade 8 bass at 11, grade 8 guitar at 12. He's just a natural with it. His band had formed a couple of years before COVID came, and we needed to keep him rehearsing, obviously through lockdown. So I convinced my wife to pick up a bass guitar and start rudimentary one-note bass lines while I jammed and he jammed together. And I kind of threw her in at the deep end. Within 6 weeks, I had her playing a gig online.
Really?
From nothing, from never having played anything. And I'd taught guitar and taught instruments a few times to various people. So it wasn't too onerous a task, but we filmed ourselves and got her into the music side of it, pardon me. And the Abandoners came from that, and we started gigging as a band called Slap Cabin because of where we rehearsed. And then, developed into the Abandoners, writing our own material, and I write it. And then we just started playing and performing more and more. So that's more or less how we came about. So probably, 2020, 21? I think that's when lockdown was.
Right. Lockdown always seems to come into these chats that I have. It's always influenced people's music in one way or another. So where does
Definitely.
the name Abandoners come from?
Right. I've got well, it's my fault, to be honest. When we were going away on holiday or when we go on visits or places, I'm not a shopping person. I walk into shops, buy what I want and walk out, and that's me done.
Yeah.
So when the rest of the family wanted to hang around shops and meander around, I would quite often just wander away and walk to another shop or walk somewhere else and say, I'll meet you there. And they started calling me, saying, you're abandoning us again.
Right.
And it became a laughing joke. And then it was choosing the name for the band. We decided to change from Slap Cabin because people couldn't associate with it. So I said, jokingly, well, let's call ourselves the Abandoners. That's what you keep saying to me. And that became the band name. It stuck.
Right, so whilst they're shopping for clothes, you go into HMV and flick through the records or something?
HMV, like well, more often than not, the nearest guitar shop or music shop.
So have I got this right? The band's quite family then? So your wife's on bass and your son's on the drums. Is that still the case?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
It is at the moment. He's off to university this year. So we're developing from that. So I think hopefully he'll still come back and perform with us. But we've made friends with his drummer. His band's called Faint, Ep8, and they're
I was going to come to that. Yes,
sensational band, kind of along the lines of Jeff Buckley. Yeah. And so I've been doing that since they were tiny. And his drummer's called Willow. He's absolutely incredible. Made friends with her dad, who wanted to take up the role of drummer. He's learning. So I said, okay, Cameron's going to go to university. You might as well take over the stool if you want. Fingers crossed, he'll dep or come into the band and we can move on from there. Continue going while Cameron's over at university.
Have you got any advice for getting your children into playing music? It's a selfish question here because I've got a 9-month-old son, so hopefully a future bandmate as well.
The encouragement comes from, I took Cameron to gigs when he was 2 to see me perform, and my wife brought him along, and he immediately charged to the drum kit and started talking to our drummer, who was an incredibly friendly fella called Tommy. And he said, do you want to bash? Do you want to hit the skins? And so he picked him up and let him wail away on the drums and just had a laugh. And it instilled something into Cameron, who see, the biggest issue with families is if your child wants to play drums, the vast majority think, oh my God, that's going to be
loud, yeah.
But you need to encourage it. Yeah, and it's the encouragement that kind of builds it into them. So, you build a shed, or you find a room that you can stick mattresses up in, and you buy them a drum kit and just encourage them. And for someone like yourself, I don't know what instrument you play, or what you do,
Guitar.
Matt, but if you, right, so you like me, and it's, if you jam along with them, it becomes a fun time, and they associate that with music, and want to continue it. At the end of the day, we just encouraged and encouraged, and that's what his bandmates, you talk them through the bad bits of it, the fear side of it, and they understand then, and it just makes everything better for them. So yeah, good luck with that. I hope you manage.
Right. Oh, I just wanted to pick up on one thing there. You mentioned that was terribly sad. Your previous drummer, then, that he passed away. Um, has that had an influence on your music going forward?
Life's an interesting journey. I think, I tend to, a lot of my songs have some kind of angst in them, or some kind of sensation in them related to depression, anxiety, and the deeper aspects of life. I think as a society, we don't talk about it anywhere near enough, or we're not open about it. We talk about it, but we're not open about it. I have helped quite a few people, and like I said, Tommy the drummer, I was there an hour before he died,
Wow.
talking him through the pain of his cancer, and his family said, "You're the only one he listened to." And the problem is, we don't put our truth in front of us. I suffered severe anxiety and depression in 2014, almost ultimately, and recovered from that. And I try and help anyone. If they show the slightest signs of anxiety or depression, I'm quite open to turning around and saying, "Give me a ring, vent, do whatever you need to," and I'm quite happy to talk to you about it brutally. And I mean, you can beat this bit, but I tend to turn around and say, "You've got to accept that life is shit, but there are good bits of it, and you've got to enjoy the good bits of it." And you seek out that side of it. For me, music at that time, I actually got a letter from the GP that said music is helping me recover. And
Why is that?
it is a, sorry.
How was that? How was music helping you at that time?
Um, it gave me a vent. It gave me an outlet. So, I mean, life becomes very restricted. For a lot of people, you tend to go to work, then you come home from work and family get involved, and then you go to bed, and then you wake up and you go to work and family, and so on and so forth. And you need that outlet, that vent, or you need to release that pent up part of you, because people tend to crush it down and shove it. If you want to, say like yourself, you want to go on stage, you want to perform, and you want people to go, "Yay," like this. But at the end of the day, if you can't do that, it's just crushed down inside of you, and it dwells and it causes problems. And that's how it helps. The GP turned around and said, "You need to do this to vent." So that's what I do. And believe me, it's bloody hard work at times, but yeah, it's music's a source and music's help.
They often say to journal and write down your thoughts, and so yeah, writing songs can be a form of that. Is there one of your songs that has been that for you, that you can pinpoint was written during sort of the height of anxiety or depression?
I tend to.
Or is that not
I'm
a
a, I
public
have a
song?
very no. It's not that. Like I said, I'm quite open, very much so, because if I can say something that helps people, that's good for me, and it's good for them. But at the end of the day, a lot of mine, the songs I write, tend to be based around how I feel at that point in time. The socio-political songs, I'm quite politically. So much so that I defeated the Clean Air Zone that was being put in Greater Manchester quite recently. The song in particular, I would say, one starts with the lyrics, "Look inside my tortured mind," and I think that kind of explains it all. It just pushes the boundaries of, I might exist, you might see what you see, but deep down inside, you don't know what's going on. And that's the same with all of us. I mean, that's our EP. That's the Embrace of Chaos.
I love the artwork
So
there.
yeah, it's. I mean, those are the. It's it. Cheers. But that song. It's a great vent. And the lyrics kind of say what needs to be said. Yeah, I think the chorus says it's, your fear has gone tomorrow, your heat is warmer than the sun. And it's looking at that positive side of things, you know, get rid of fear and bring that warmth and, you know, that energy, that fire back into life.
They're excellent lyrics. One of my questions is which of your lyrics still hits you today every time you play it, and I'm guessing it's probably that one.
I mean, to be honest, all of them have something. We tend to open sometimes with a song called Glorious, which is on the EP. I'm just going to read them up. And
yeah, go on.
There's Haunted, Sun, and World Falls Down as well. It's aspects of them, four. We've got other songs, obviously, that we do in our set. And each one of them has kind of a key lyric somewhere that sparks you when you sing it. You know, Haunted is talking about the relationships, I think kind of that darkness and lightness. Glorious is the, you know, turning around and saying, despite through everything else, you know, you as an individual, you're glorious. You know, you've got to think of yourself that way. So I try and write lyrics, or, well, I don't try, they just come out, lyrics that explain how we need to get rid of that darkness and just see something positive.
Oh, I love that. The songs are a lot. They're deep, meaningful songs, which on the surface, not all rock bands write lyrics like that. So what's next for the Abandoners? Have you got some gigs lined up? Some new music coming out?
We've got the EP, but that has expanded. It might become an album. So I'm trying to sort that out at the moment. Those were the sample pressings, these here.
Cool.
So I might just expand it to 8 or 9 tracks and just call it an album. We've already recorded them. The first 4 on the EP were recorded with, excuse me, Dave Pemberton, who was co-producer for The Prodigy. He's produced Motorhead and various other bands, Kasabian. Wow. He's a friend of ours, a good friend of ours, has been for a long time. We're lucky that way.
Yes, he's a good friend to have.
Definitely. In terms of music, in terms of gigging, we're quite selective. And not in the ego way. It's just I use the stage. I tend to run around and I'm off into the audience stage and down on my knees and I just go mental. So there's a great tiny venue in Darwin that we've just played, and luckily the stage is level, so I can get off, you know, into the pub and run around into the pub or even outside if I need to. But we enjoy playing, but obviously with my son's band and other things happening, you know, you have to be a bit more choosy with timescales and that. So the next gig is the end of this month. We're playing Sheffield, a place called the Yorkshireman, which is an incredible rock venue.
Oh, wow.
Great people, fantastic promoter. We've also, through that, we've been offered the chance to play the Whiskey A Go-Go in Hollywood next year. Which,
wow, that's quite.
Yeah, if we can get the visas sorted, Sheffield. That'd be fantastic. Oh yeah, I mean it's the problem is at the moment with the changes in the world, the visa system is insane for the US. You know, it can cost you, just for us 3 to go, it could cost us a kind of £3,000 and still be refused. But you've got to think of it as, when am I going to play the whiskey? It's if you watch the Dirt by Motley Crue, you tend to read up on a lot of the 80s bands. The whiskey it's the place from the 50s onwards. Every famous band you can possibly imagine has played the Whiskey A Go-Go in Hollywood, Los Angeles. So
that'd be worth it.
It's one of them places. Just have your band's name up there.
Yeah, to have that on your CV.
Definitely. Bucket list.
So, as well as your own band, you obviously do a lot for original bands, and you've set up 2 small festivals, Boltstock and Slamstock. So that's quite something. How are they going?
The Slamstock's in its 2nd year this time. That's in October, and that's rock bands. And I'll explain the situation with all of it first of all. Cameron's band, I think he was about 9 years old when he started gigging. He was playing bass and vocals for his first band. It sounds ridiculous at that age he has a first band, but he started playing with them and we couldn't get him gigs anywhere. Obviously, pubs have age limits and a lot of venues have age limits. But every so often something would pop up and we'd get them playing live, which they loved, they fed on it. And along the way, I found out from other parents and people that there are a group of kids who are immensely talented incredibly musically talented in these bands that just can't get gigs. They can't play. So the first thing was try and think of some idea, some way of developing this so we can give them an event, give them an outlet. And then I know some people don't like it, but I am absolutely against tribute bands, 100%. Bands that play the occasional cover or a few covers I'm fine with, but tribute bands are just taking up spots for good new music, as far as I'm concerned. So it was a case of, how am I going to combat this? How am I going to give kids the opportunity? And it was, well, why not start my own festival? And it's a small thing, it's like a 300-seater, and it's a relatively local venue who gives it us for nothing, primarily because it was raising funds for cancer care, local hospice and charity as well. So I give young bands, and it's any age limit up to kind of, I'd say 21, 22, around there. And anything from 9 years onwards, I give them a chance to play 45 minutes of their own material on stage to 300 people. Amazing. Whatever we raise from that event tends to go to, it's either Bolton Hospice or it goes to a worthy charity. But the bands, all the equipment on stage, the lights, the lighting rig, the back line, the front line, everything is all mine. I don't hire anything. It's stuff that I've built up over years, over decades, and I engineer the night as well as host it. So the idea is to bring them on stage, a good, well set up stage, put them in front of a good supportive audience, say, now play your stuff. I'm not interested in somebody else's music. You can play a couple of covers, but play your stuff and perform. And it's developed, it's on its 4th year now, Boltstock. And this weekend, the last couple of days, it was Friday and Saturday, it was absolutely incredible. It's grown and grown, and the energy was immense. So yeah, it feeds the future, and that's what it's all about. We need to pass on, someone like me, I need to pass it on to youngsters so they enjoy that energy and they want to keep it going. Stock is for...
Sorry, I was just saying, I'm just imagining 10-year-old me knowing that I'm about to play on a proper stage in front of, well, more than my mum and dad. I would be spending all year in my bedroom so excited, writing songs, and you're giving children something to really look forward to, a really good thing. So my son's got 8 years to get himself ready.
I'll tell you what, if he's ready and we're going in 8 years, he's more than welcome on that stage with his band. The other side of it is I avoid solo acoustic players and anything like that, because the difficulty is, I've noticed the name of your broadcast. It's open mics are amazing. They are fantastic. I've played a lot myself as solo acoustic and slide blues over the years, but it's very much, they're easy to put on. You're small PA and more or less you're going. But in terms of a young band approaching a venue, it's, have you got a PA? Have you got a drum kit? Have you got room for a back line? Have you got room for this amp? Have you got room for this bass? Are we going to be too loud? Are we going to be too quiet? And it becomes a lot more problematic. So I encourage bands. Yes. We give the stage over to a band. If you're a 5-piece, a 4-piece, a 3-piece, whatever, that stage is yours. Now make as much noise as you want. And I love noisy music. That's, like I said, if you manage to get your son into playing and in a band, then like I said, Boltstock's there, he'll be welcome.
It's so difficult for bands to get gigs.
It is, absolutely. It primarily comes down to one reason, that's revenue generation for the venue, nothing else. And we've been hit by successive governments. I just started running a Facebook page called Rethink Music, and it ties in with what I've done in the past politically. So I'm either in the government at the moment, Lisa and Andy, and that aspect of it, to give bands a break and try and push and drive on with grassroots music, because venues are closing. We're losing an entire culture, an entire history, something that's been around here since time immemorial, and especially when you consider what we had available in the 50s. Bolton, this town, actually was the first place that ever performed, or the Who ever performed Tommy. It's insane that we've lost the venue that the Who performed Tommy at, and Hendrix played here, and a huge number of incredible artists, and that's countrywide. And we need to now recreate that for kids who are coming along afterwards. I try and push and try and do what I can. Obviously, Bullstock is there, so it inspires them and gives them something to look forward to. Like you said, spend a year in your room practicing or writing songs, but at the end of the day, then you know it's going to be worth it. You know, so yeah, fingers crossed it works.
You've been pushing the government. What could they do to help grassroots music specifically?
Well, if we start with something very, very basic that they could do overnight, we perform in Sheffield. You know, the Abandoners. We've done it 3 times, I think, 4 times over there. Now it's got a clean air zone, which is fine. You know, that's entirely up to them if they need it. But at the same point, if you're a band travelling to Sheffield to play a free gig, because most of the gigs nowadays are free to try and get your name known, and then you can get paid gigs. You travel over there and immediately you pay £10 just for carting your vehicle in. You know, if there's 4 or 5 members of you and you don't travel in one vehicle, it's 40-50 quid, and you get nothing out of it other than entering the zone. Now, as far as I'm concerned, that's something the government could turn around and say, right, licensing. If you can prove you're playing a gig, it's free. You know, you submit and we'll refund you. The thing I don't agree with is that bands are being subsidising systems when they're not earning anything out of it. And there aren't that many going performing, you know, so you're not going to lose that much revenue, and it's not going to cause that much of a problem, if anything. So it's little quick fixes they can bring into line to save bands a bit of money, to save issues, you know, and it's daft that we have to go down this line of forcing government to think about that.
Yeah, and you'd think actually there'd be net profit in terms of gigs being on and people then travelling in to watch them.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, you know, the revenue from a band performing, you know, it probably brings more people into a pub or brings more people into a venue, which then increases taxation, because every pint is taxed to the hilt. Yes. You know, it's insane that the government doesn't think about this cycle. You know, music is something. If we took away music from the world, imagine how plain life would be for everybody. Yet it's seen as just a thing that people don't need or don't do. The culture's changing now. I think like I said, my drive is I'm quite pushy and quite aggressive with politicians. I have no fear of them or anything like that. So it's a case of, you know, they can help kids and help the future in music and increase revenue.
Happier note, I wanted to ask how your son's band's going. So you managed them?
They're doing great at the moment. I mean, we're kind of in a transition phase at the moment. They're recognised as one of the best up and coming bands. He's so super tight and talented. It's sickening. Yeah, they're at a phase at the moment. Cameron, like I said, is off to university. The other two are coming up to that kind of period. So it's how you manage the band through times when he's over studying somewhere else and then arranging gigs for times they come back and when they can rehearse. And so we're kind of working through that at the moment. And there's a positive vibe to it, trying to keep everything going, but it's logistics at the end of the day. You know, so fingers crossed. They might not be gigging as much, but fingers crossed, you know, they'll still be recording and performing.
Well, I just had some final quickfire questions. So if you've got any last things to add.
No, that's fine. Let's hit the questions.
Right. So these are just some little fun ones, really, to get to know you a bit more as a musician. So what was the first song that you ever loved? So the first song that got you into music and inspired you.
The song I ever loved. I remember being as a teenager in 1980, around then. I went into school one day. Dad had brought in some records to sell to me, and one of them was Black Sabbath, and it was Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, the album. I bought that off him for literally a few pence, and I would imagine that it was the opening title track. Sabbath Bloody Sabbath would be the first song that fired me up and really got me going. And from there it was Die Young with Dio. Ronnie James Dio took vocals with Sabbath. It's, yeah, from there it went onwards into Scorpions, Michael Schenker Group, and I saw when I was a teenager. Yeah, it's so probably I'd say Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath was the first one.
Yeah, you can really tell that's influenced you in your music. That question also has a danger of showing people's age. You always get such different answers.
Well, I could turn around and say I got Back in Black on its release, AC/DC. So yeah, that tells you something about age.
So a dream venue to play, the Whiskey would be a good one.
The Whiskey's it. I mean, it's my era. It was really kind of the 80s. That was. I think we all have an era that defines us in terms of music. You'll have your own. Like, this was the greatest music time, and for me, it was the 80s, and the 80s rock. Predominantly, every single band was playing the Whiskey. I was into sleazy rock and roll, LA Guns, that kind of thing, and all of them played there. So the opportunity to get over there next year that's the dream venue.
Wow, you're the first person that's named a dream venue and might actually be playing there. That would be amazing. What is one artist that you would love to open for?
Unfortunately, it won't happen, but there's potential again with this one. I would have loved to have opened for Killing Joke. They're just one of the bands that infected rock music and post-punk, punk music right across the eras. They were huge in the 80s. They've just produced so many albums, and they were incredible. And unfortunately, 2023, my guitar idol died. And he was Geordie Walker, who was the guitarist of Killing Joke. And that means we're never gonna open for him. But this is another one of the bucket list things. We've become good friends with a band called Light of Eternity, who kind of carried on the torch of Killing Joke. And the original Killing Joke drummer, Big Paul Ferguson, is a Light of Eternity's drummer. The vocalist is called Fred Schreck. He was the frontman for the Ancients in the 90s. And we've become good friends with them. Met them last year, and they're great blokes, absolutely fantastic people. And there's potential that at some point in the future we might get to open for them, which is
another one.
Like that.
Oh, I hope it happens. So there's just two more.
Me too.
I think I know the answer to this one. Studio or live performance? What do you prefer?
They've both got the place. I mean, studio is superb for creativity. You've been able to go, I'll double track this, or I'm going to add this to it, or I'm going to add that to it. The only problem with the studio is quite often you can't bring them to the live venue, pardon me, without a lot of technical work. So above and beyond, it's got to be staged. There's nothing great. So when everything's working right and you're charging and the audience is behind you, there's nothing like it. It's got to be live.
After what you said earlier, sort of knee sliding across the stage and running around is your home. The final question is one song you wish that you had written. If you could go back in time and you're the writer.
Man, that is difficult because there's too many of them. I could go back to Love Like Blood by Killing Joke. It's just an absolute masterpiece. I think, you see the Queens of the Stone Age is Mexicola. But there are so many, there's so many incredible songs by incredible bands, and even to have a hand in one of them, would be wow, like that. It's very difficult to pin down. My knowledge of music is far too vast for what it should be, really. But yeah, I think I'd probably go Love Like Blood, Killing Joke.
Is there a song that you cover most? When you do a cover, have you got one that's the most? Do you do Love Like Blood?
We do. Strangely enough, we do cover that, and it fills everything in. It gives me the opportunity to love the band that set everything in motion. It also gives me the opportunity to pay homage to them, to Killing Joke. So yeah, we do Love Like Blood. We cover Love Like Blood as a personal homage to Killing Joke, and it's an incredible song to play. So yeah, that's probably the cover. that we do most and we love.
Well, thank you so much for joining me on a bank holiday.
Thank you.
I'll leave you to get on with the rest of your day. It's been great talking to you, though. I've learnt a lot today. And you do so much for original music. Everyone should check out Bolt Stock and Slam Stock and get your children involved. And I'd love to come and watch The Abandoners and watch your energy on stage. After what you've said about all the running around, it sounds like a lot of fun.
We try, even at this old age, I still try. If I can inspire some kids to charge around on stage, then the more the merrier. You know, or even some adults charge around on stage. That's great fun. But that's what it's all about. But see, it's been brilliant, and thanks very much for that, Matt. It's appreciated. Thank you. Have a great Easter.